first off, before we get started, I just want to say that this anchor you see in the top right, that is an overlay that I've added in editing. You won't actually be able to get an overlay like this. Instead, you can just have the anchor concept pulled up on a separate screen. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If the first thing we'll notice is that the center part of the anchor right here has a bit of a stem that goes straight up into a cube looking object. So what that's going to do, since we've got a cube, and that's kind of like one of the main focuses on this object that we have here, we're going to start from a cube. Most models you create are going to start from a cube, unless they're a ring and they're going to start from a torus. But since we're starting from a cube, we have the cube here. And the first thing we need to do is move this top face up. So if you're in object mode where you can see the outline around the whole object, you need to go into edit mode. So in edit mode, we should be able to see the individual lines between, or the edges between the faces and all that kind of stuff. Now we need to be in face select. So click here to the face select option. It's right there. You click on the top face and we're going to move it up. You can use the move tool and click and drag from the blue arrow if you want, or you can use the hotkeys and press G and then Z on the keyboard to go straight up. Use the move tool, finish the rest of the way. Alright, that looks like a pretty good height. How high you go doesn't matter too much, you just don't want to be too short. Next up, I'm going to create that little cube that we see in this section of the concept. To create that cube, I'm going to use what's called the extrude tool. So you can go down here to the bottom to the tools panel to extrude region. You can also press E on the keyboard and just click in E on the keyboard. You don't click, you just drag up. All right. Now I've created that box. I'm going to press E again and create a half box. Maybe a little bit longer. We'll use G and Z to go up a little bit farther. All right. Now I have created my vertical column here in the middle, the very base structure. So I also need now to kind of create, I need to pull the sides of this piece out a little bit. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hold shift and click, shift and click, shift and click, so that I've selected all of the faces for that center square all the way around. Alright, so if I go to extrude region and I click this button here, it's going to create some weird extrusions that go all off in different directions. So that's not entirely what I want to do. Instead, what I need to do is extrude along the normals. And we'll talk about what normals are at another point. We're not going to get into too much depth. For now, just understand that the normal is basically the direction that the face is facing. So this face is normal, goes out this way. This face is normal, goes out that way. And so on and so forth. So if we extrude along the normals, we're telling this program that we want to create more of the shape along the direction of the normal. So if I click and drag, again, that's going to create a shape that comes out on all sides. So drag it out. That looks about good. Now I don't want a sharp edge there, so I'm going to use the scale tool and I'm going to press Z. Alright. That looks pretty good. Okay. Next is to create the crossbar. So to create the crossbar, I'm going to again use the extrusion tool. So we're going to click here and we're going to click here. Again, we're going to extrude along the normals, pull out. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to use the scale tool. Now I'm going to scale from the red box in between my top and side axis. What that's going to do is cause my shape to scale inwards like that. Now if you find yourself scaling and your shapes are doing some weird creating some weird shapes like rectangles on the side, then you're probably just pulling from the wrong line, or you're pulling from the circle. We want to make sure we're pulling from the red dot, which is going to only scale from the Z and Y axis. Or if you've modeled yours in such a way that the spikes are on the other side, you're going to be modeling from the green square. But basically, make it so that the spikes are facing you, and you're pulling from the square in between the lines. All right, so we've got the spikes. Now we're going to click this top face, and we are going to scale it inwards like so. Okay, pretty good so far. We're just going to move this up a little bit. Looking good. Last thing to do is to get a bit of a loop on here. All right, and that is looking pretty good. That's going to be the end of this section. I will see you in the next part.